It is time for the relationship segment, and today we're going to talk about how to start dating again after years of singlehood. I know a lot of you are watching us still on the couch, not going out, staying at home, thinking God will drop that person on your lap. We've all been there, there's no shame. So if you have any challenges with this specific topic or would want to learn more about it, just use the hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550 585 for us to hear from you. If you're outside Ghana and you're still single, too comfortable being single and trying to get back into the dating world, just use the country code +233 and we will receive your messages. I have with me one of my favorite coaches, Reverend Bernie Osejia. Good morning.
Good morning, Jifa.
How are you?
I do well. How about you?
I'm okay. How has this month of love been like for you?
Well, it's my month, my birth month.
Birth month, okay.
So, yeah, obviously, it's talking
when was
good.
the date? When were you born?
6th
6th of February.
February, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What did you do for your birthday?
On that day, I like solitude on that day. So I spend the time alone.
Yeah.
But then the following day, had a couple of blasts here and there in church with the family and so on. So yes, that's how I spent the time.
Belated happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Thank you.
Now we're still talking about relationships, singlehood. You've been there for years and now you're trying to get back in the dating world. Where do we even start from?
I think the important thing to look at is the definition
Okay.
of this singleton or singlehood.
Okay.
So who is in that context? So obviously someone who is divorced, someone who's had a breakup,
Yeah.
so they were dating or in a relationship and they broke up, someone also who lost their partner, maybe through death,
Yeah.
or someone who never dated.
Okay.
Now, there is also this controversial category that I want to add here.
Please go for
And
it.
this is someone who is married or dating but single.
How?
So you are in a relationship, but you feel like you are alone.
But can you define yourself as single if you're technically with someone?
So physically, you're with someone, but emotionally, mentally, you practically are single as the word is.
Okay.
There are people in that category. Unfortunately, by virtue of your commitment, some of these things cannot apply to you, but there is help that you can find in that regard.
Okay.
But basically, the definition of knowing who constitutes being single, then also knowing what can be done or what you should be doing is what this conversation is about.
Okay. So for those sort of people who are not in a relationship or married, how do they get back? Because you can get comfortable being by yourself.
Well, it's true. Sometimes being a lone ranger, does it for you. But if you're not a Catholic priest or a nun, then obviously you need to find a way to start getting your game back.
Yeah.
There are about 5 to 6 things that I think would indicate that you are ready to get back into the game.
All right.
Now, this is important because if you're not careful, you might jump right too early, which can have its own consequences, or you can be too late, which might obviously also have its own consequences. So it's ideal to look at your readiness test to find out where you are. Am I ready for this? And some of the things you need to look at. Number one is find in yourself if you are free from the anger or the guilt. The anger being that your partner might have been the one who caused you the hurt.
Before you even go, I think it's good for me to tell our viewers that if you fall under any of those categories, please let us know because we want to ensure that the conversation we have will be relevant to your specific experience. So if you are currently in some sort of relationship or a marriage and you feel single, you feel trapped, and you want to know how to handle it, please use that hashtag Breakfast Daily and the WhatsApp line 0550 585 If you're a single person who does not necessarily like to socialize and you don't want to put yourself out there and you're trying to figure out exactly how to get back into that dating world too, let us know. Send those messages in because we're both here to ensure that we help you get to where you need to be. Go ahead, Ernie.
Thank you. So, like I mentioned, first and foremost, ensuring that you are free from the guilt or from the anger Guilt being that you might be the culprit of
Okay.
whatever might have gone wrong.
So maybe you
and know.
cheated in your previous relationship
Or
or
whatever
something
the
else and
reason
it
could be. It
ended.
could be that you cheated. It could be
Okay.
that you hurt your partner so bad.
you lied
You
about
know,
something.
things like that. Disappointed them. And if you can get yourself free from that guilt, then you are ready.
Okay.
Or you're so angry at whatever happened that, you know, you've practically made a vow that I can never get over this. That also simply means that you're not ready to move on.
So you have to heal first.
You need to heal first
Okay.
before you take the next move.
Okay.
Right? So when you can be able to come to the place of realization and awareness that I'm free, then you know that you're ready to make the move.
And how important is it for us to heal alone? Because some people will try to heal by getting distracted
Yes.
by other people.
That's correct.
Going to a rebound. How important is it to heal by yourself?
The distractions many times don't help. It's ideal, and you spoke about rebound. That's what many people will do. They want the next shoulder to cry on. They want the next person to share that affection with. And many times you match this new found friend or whoever they might be with whatever you had. And when they fall short, the criticism and the distraction begins from there. And if you're not careful, the healing process will never be complete. So it's ideal to take that break, get yourself out of the space of the past so that you can be able to look at what is ahead of you.
Okay.
Now, secondly, one of the things you need to show in your readiness is that you can do things on your own. There are many people that are forced by friends and family to get back into it. Maybe you lost your partner. Your family feels you've grieved for 2 years, 3 years.
Time to move on.
It's time to move on. So they start pushing people on you. All right. Oh, Meshia way, or you're nice. I think you should meet, things like that. When you keep considering that, your readiness is not there because you must be able to say that, you know what, I want to do this. Not what people force on you. And until you are in that space where you can be able to guarantee that I want this and this is what I'm going for. And that leads me even to my third point.
Okay.
It must be what you want. Listen, if you're not ready to move on, it doesn't matter who you meet.
So how do we handle it as people who love this person who's single and clearly needs to settle down and there's no urgency on their part, they're still discovering themselves, and it's like, dude or girl, you need to speed it up a bit. How do we back off and allow them to move at their own pace?
So I just want to understand the context. How does who move on? And who is it that you maybe might have?
Let's say a mother or a father is worried that, time is running out and we want you to meet people, but every
That's
day
correct.
the person has no interest. Maybe they have their own psychological issues
That's correct.
that they want to heal from first, but the people around them feel as though
It's time.
it's time. How do we handle that as well and just leave them alone?
I think from the side of the family, families want you to do well, but many times they don't understand the space in which you are. So they kind of force people into a lot of things. There are families today that are putting pressure on people who should be walking out of their relationships. But by virtue of whatever belief system they have, they force you to be there until it's too late. People die out of some of these, forces that comes externally from, their decision making. It's ideal also for parents and family to understand that your daughter, your son is in a space that they need to have the strength to take the next step because you won't make it for them. So the families have a responsibility, but to this far, they must understand limits when it comes to the decision making. You can't keep deciding for the person.
So should we put our foot down and create that limit that, listen, I know you care for me, but I have to handle this
course.
and have that conversation?
And that is the emotional intelligence bit of the individual who is at the receiving end of that pressure.
Okay.
Let them understand.
Okay.
Even if we're not talking about getting back in the game, there are people who are planning to get married. They haven't met that, Mr. Right or Mr. Or Mrs. Right. And the pressure from friends and family keeps coming, and you're getting old, and your biological clock is ticking, and so on and so forth. And the pressure comes from every side. If you're not careful, this can be able to break you down emotionally and psychologically. But you must be able to have the emotional strength and intelligence to let people know where the lines are drawn. And this is ideal in the process of you making or taking the step on your own.
Okay.
All right. So the third one I wanted to add, I think I mentioned that briefly, is how you are able to take that step on your
Yes.
own,
Yes.
and then also you know this is what you want,
Yeah.
not what people impose on you. The fourth one is when you don't get emotional talking about the lessons from the past, but you know you're ready. I could say I'm fine, but immediately I start talking about it, I either cry or I get angry or agitated. When you are still in that space,
You're
you
not
haven't
done.
gotten over it.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things you find in your readiness is I can talk about whatever happened. I can talk about the lessons I learned without any of those emotional gyrations.
What about those who get cold when it's brought up because they've repressed it for so long?
Of course, that is an indication that you still haven't gotten over it.
Okay.
The truth is, you are getting into a relationship with someone else. That's what you're intending to. That person deserves to be loved, respected, and also honored, just like you. When you bring your baggage from the past into it, and it's actually depressing on this current relationship, you're not being fair to the person. They also deserve the best. If they are bringing their A game, they expect you to bring your A game, not the E game. And this is where it's important for you to understand that before I get in, I must make sure that the past is where it belongs, and I'm ready to make the move.
Wow. There's a message here. Please ask Rev, how can I go about this? My girlfriend has a newfound friend, and they've taken all the attention and time we give to ourselves. And this person is married. I don't feel comfortable about it. I have told her, but it looks like she wants to keep the new friend. It's been over 6 months, so this isn't really related, but still, I think you can give him a few tips on your girlfriend making friends with a married man and they're always being together all the time. Is there a problem with that?
I would have wished to find out some few things about when he says we've talked about it,
How
the conversation, because there's one thing critiquing what might be going on. There's another thing really finding out what is it in that you find that might not be here, which is making you
spend more
because
time.
the truth is people will always return to a place of pleasure.
Yeah.
Wherever you find pleasure, you want to be there.
And peace, actually.
Of course, all right? And sometimes it's the entertainment, it's the laughter, it's the little things, which I might not be doing. But this partner of mine might have found it somewhere else. Now, to be fair, I'm not encouraging maybe possibly a misconduct, but I'm trying to find a solution. So whoever might have asked that question, it's ideal to do a proper analysis of what could be going on so that when you talk about dealing with the issue, you will know exactly which standpoint to come from.
Another question. It's a very deep one here. Jifa, I was in a relationship with a man for 4 years and had 2 kids for him, but unfortunately, one died around 8 months old when I was pregnant. He was constantly abusing me verbally, even to the extent of insulting my mother. The long and short, together with the sister, they threw me and my little girl out of the house. 3 months after I lost my second child, I couldn't get over the pain, and I still have not gotten over the pain. I'm now happily married, but still in pain, and it constantly affects my current marriage. Please, what can I do?
The
There's a lot of
truth
trauma
is,
there.
this is trauma. So obviously you need professional help.
Yeah.
Aside of the counseling you get, it's ideal that you have to go through a process of healing emotionally and psychologically. I think a lot of us don't take psychological health very serious, especially around here. I keep saying that in Ghana, and this is my own, view. Maybe about 98% of us have psychological issues.
We do.
Or maybe psychiatric, if I'm permitted.
It's fine. We all have issues.
Do you
We're stressed
understand?
out.
It's serious how we react and respond to many of these things. And listening to what she's sharing, this is someone that have gone through a lot. And because our culture also don't really encourage you speaking out about some of these things, and many times they are suppressed. You live with it until it's too late to
And it
actually
eats you up.
find solution. And I need to say that I feel so sorry hearing her story. I really wish she can find help, and maybe a conversation beyond here to understand exactly, we can point her in the right directions that she can be able to find the help she needs.
And I think even being able to articulate it the way she's done That's the first
It's
step
exactly,
to heal and actually
exactly,
acknowledging that
exactly,
there's a problem.
exactly.
Please continue.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I think the fifth point I want to add, some of the things that you should, look at for your readiness is when your emotions and desires are in the game. Yeah, I mean, you feel, this is it for me. The emotions are things that you cannot ignore. Your emotions, how you feel about who you are with or wanting to be with someone. It's really ideal when you want to date, when you want to court into marriage or whatever your decision is. When you are not emotionally in the game, trust me, you're going in there as a deadlock. Yeah. All right? Or like our former president will say, Tobunyo. All right? I mean, you become indifferent. Yeah. And it doesn't matter who says what. I've seen it, been there, done that, I've got a T-shirt.
How do we correct that mindset, though? Because if you've been hurt for a long time, you kind of want to almost assess the person. Even if you've healed, you're not hurting anymore, you're looking for triggers. And because you're not emotionally investing in it, they throw it back at you and it validates what you're thinking. Oh, I knew she would leave me. But it's like you pushed the person out.
That's correct.
How do we stop ourselves from doing that, especially when we've been hurt and we're a little bit guarded?
So it goes back to our first point, the healing process. It's very ideal. Now, no emotional experience can be deleted out of your system. God gave us memories for a reason. And many times I hear people say, forgive and forget. I can forgive. I'm not sure about forgetting because that is the function of the memory. It helps me to learn. It helps me to make the next decision that will not put me right back there again. So you are correct if you have had certain experiences that hurt so bad. Trust me, when you touch a hot iron and you find another hot iron around you, you are triggered by virtue of the fact that, listen, I've had this experience before. It wasn't very pleasurable. I don't want to go back there. So these are things that will help you not to get into such situations again. So being in a relationship, having gone through some bad experiences, and then suddenly you find yourself in another, then these things start to show their head up. Mm-hmm. It makes you really say, no, I've seen this before. And from the look of things, I know how it's going down. I'm not prepared for this, and I want to move on. Yeah. Some people would have the confidence to want to confront it. Others will have the confidence to want to deal with it. Some people take the easy way out to be safe. You know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to continue anymore. Mm-hmm. And this is a decision and a choice that must be respected. Because they might not have to cross that threshold. Others will do. Mm-hmm. But individually, you need to deal with it in a way that you know it resonates with your ability to handle.
There's another message here that says, so for about a year ago, I broke up with my partner, but we're still friends. Is it safe to go back to him?
Okay. So, Jifa, there's a lot to ask here.
Really?
Why did you break up in the first place?
Yeah. And I think, what do you think? Because I'm friends with my exes, but I never go back. Once I'm done, I'm done. But we can be friends. I don't know.
The decision here...
if she's considering it, then maybe she's reading something into it.
So I've got questions for the person, all right? He or she. Mm-hmm. If you broke up, why? If you're considering to go back, why? What might have changed? Mm-hmm. What have you seen?
But some people can also be great as friends, but it just won't work as partners. And I think sometimes we tend to deceive ourselves.
That's correct.
Just because the friendship is working so well,
then
if we try, the relationship will work.
Exactly. And it's different. You see, being friends with someone has certain limits. It has obligations. To get into a relationship...
Then the expectations come in.
Exactly. The expectations are different. And managing both, and trust me, that is why it's always been great to be in a relationship with a friend.
Yeah.
Or married to your friend. So because it gets to a point that relationship thing, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
What keeps it going is the friendship you might have stricken over the years.
So speaking of being friends, I want to go back to this message about losing the baby and all that, the trauma that she's experienced, especially when you decide to marry the person. At what point do you pour your heart out to them that this is who I am, this is what I've been through, there are certain things you might do that I might get triggered. Please don't take it personally. I'm still healing. Because some healing might take a lifetime.
That's correct.
You know, I don't think there's a time limit
for
it. And if you're dating, at what point do you do that? Because there was an ex of mine that when we decided to date seriously, I pour my heart out. Like, these are my baggages.
And he ran.
He didn't.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
he embraced
Oh,
it.
my word.
And
That's
I
beautiful.
felt bad because I'm like, this is this perfect person, and I'm coming with all these bruises. And he was just releasing his scars one at a time. Every week there's a new scar. And I'm like, dude, how long is your baggage? I can carry it all. How important is it for both?
Others are dishing with teaspoons.
Exactly.
Others come with a ladder.
And,
A ladder
and
also.
later on, when we became friends, he told me he thought that maybe if he goes one at a time, that it's like putting a frog, heating water. And I'm like, no, you got to dump it when I dumped it. How do we handle all of this? The difficult conversation.
The truth is, we all deal with things differently. You are the kind that you want to let all go. Other people want to manage the emotions that comes. The truth is, think of it when you're not well, you're sick, you go to the hospital, and they give you, put you on a medication for treatment. And it will treat you, however, you need to take it in dosages. So instead of going dosages, you decide, you know what, I'm going to take this anyway. Let's just go for it. Now, at that point, it becomes, exactly, you overdose it. So there are people who understand the process of, you know what, let's release it bit by bit. But it's also ideal and critical that there is more. I should set that expectation.
Yeah.
But I feel that I want to be able to share with you when I'm comfortable and confident for us to. Because sometimes you tell it too quickly, too early, and it will be too late.
Yeah.
All right,
So, for the married couple, how should she handle that
So
conversation?
if
about the trauma that she's...
you are now in a marriage, the
Yeah.
person is treating you good. I heard a story recently, that's in line with something like that.
The message about the losing the child,
Yes.
being treated badly.
Yes.
Now the marriage is great, but the scars are still there.
Yes. And I think that this is where you need to have the conversation with your partner. Let him understand how and what. Recently, I had a conversation with a very, beautiful young lady. We've been friends for years, chat about stuff, and she started sharing why her reaction was a certain way when, we were young,
Yeah.
and why she did what she did. And many people did not understand her, and by virtue of that, people blocked her off, people rejected, sidelined her. But those that understood her and got closer, even understood her better and handled her better. The person is married with to you. They are there with you. And I think that being able to set the expectation that my husband, sweetheart, you know what? I told you a bit about where I was being in an abusive relationship, and today we are here. And ideally, I want to get something better out of where I am. I hope you're not hearing.
No. My director wants to meet someone. She wants to get out of being single. So she says this is really touching her.
All right. So it becomes ideal that, throughout some of the processes, when you touch me, I have a reaction. It's not because I don't want you, but sometimes it puts me right back to some of this. Let's, us talk about it and work through it together. This is where, once again, counseling becomes a very ideal thing. Many of us don't take this thing serious.
Yeah. Speaking of counseling,
Yes.
where do we contact you? Because I know people are watching and
Yes.
they would want more of you than we have to offer.
Well, you can reach me. My number, which is also on WhatsApp, it's 0500 200 944. 0500 200 944. It's also on WhatsApp. I prefer WhatsApp because it makes it easier to go back. Sometimes, unfortunately, the contacts are too many, but we try to get back as much as we can. Other than that, my social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where you type Benny or Sabia, you will find me.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Reverend
you,
Benyo
Jifa.
Sager. It's always a pleasure to have you join
Thank you.
us.
Thank you for having me.
So there you have it. The most important thing in all of this is to heal first. You don't want to go into a relationship with your baggage. Once you've healed, don't carry that past experience on. And it's a process. And be very sincere and honest with the person that you're going to embark on this new journey with. And you'll be fine. Being in a relationship is actually a beautiful thing. So get out of the singlehood and try it out.